guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited because today I have another fall DIY video for you using items from the dollar store. If you missed my last video, I made two beautiful fall wreaths using only supplies from the dollar store. I love how they both turned out and I'm so glad you guys are enjoying it too. After I made that video, I was wandering around Dollar Tree and I found these really cute orange styrofoam pumpkins and I really wanted to make something with them. So those are going to be the staples for two of the three DIYs I'm sharing today. So whether you're wanting some Thanksgiving decor or you just want some nice fall pieces to spruce up your house, then I hope you can find some inspiration in these three DIYs. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and let's get on to the video. For the first pumpkin themed DIY today, I'll be taking this pumpkin shaped trick-or-treating bucket and turning it into a flower vase. I have this chalkboard spray paint in blush pink, and I'll be filling the pumpkin with all of these flowers I got from the dollar store. I did a few coats of spray paint on the pumpkin, and I let it dry between each coat. I love that although it's still a pumpkin, it's non-traditional in the colors. You could totally paint one of these whatever color you want to fit your own color scheme, which I think is so cool. You could also take off the handle if you wanted to, but I decided just to leave it on. And this is what the other side looks like. I actually think this looks pretty cute. So if you wanted more of a Halloween decor item, you could display it with the face out like this. I'm going to be putting these white flowers and these flowers here inside the pumpkin. I was going to get the floral foam to stick in the bottom of the pumpkin so I could poke the flowers into it, but I think instead what I'm going to do is fold this stem so it sits at the bottom of the pumpkin and then try to arrange it how I want it to look. That looks so cute already. I love the blush pink with the white. Now I have these couple ones to add on to the sides and maybe in the back here. DIY, I'm going to be making a braided yarn pumpkin using one of these styrofoam pumpkins from Dollar Tree and some yarn from Michael's. First, I'm going to take the stem off the top of the pumpkin and cut a hole in the bottom. Then I'm going to cut off pieces of yarn that are about 28 inches long each. And for each braid, I'll be using 9 strands of yarn. I have my first section of 9 strands, and now I'm going to braid it. First, I'm going to tie one end into a knot just to hold it in place. Then I'm going to tape it down to the table so it's easier to braid. Since there are 9 strands, I'm taking 3 strands per section of the braid. Now that I'm at the end of the strand, I'm going to tie these bits into a knot. The next step will be to attach the braid to the pumpkin. I'll start with putting one end of the braid inside the hole and then wrapping it all the way around the pumpkin and putting it back inside the hole. I'm also going to take some hot glue just to secure the braid to the pumpkin. Now we just need to make a lot more braids. I've got all my braids here. We'll see if this is enough, but for now I'm going to put them all on the pumpkin. See, the pumpkin is splitting from the pressure of stuffing all the yarn inside the top here. So I think I'm gonna stop putting them in the hole, although we did get quite a bit of coverage doing that. And instead, I'm going to take my hot glue gun, which I also got at Dollar Tree, and glue the yarn in place. When I was tucking it in, these long strings didn't bother me because they just went inside the pumpkin. But now that I'm trying to conceal it and glue it in place, I think it'll be a lot easier without these strings. For this one, I'm going to try cutting off the knot and then just gluing the braid down in place. These smaller sections, I think I'm actually gonna cut off sections of one of these longer braids I made. I don't like how this bottom is turning out because it doesn't sit flat. I cut off some of the braids that were really obstructing the bottom here, and now it's sitting a lot better. So I would advise being mindful of where you're crossing underneath so it creates an even bed for the pumpkin to sit on. Now I'm going to take all of these braids that I cut off the pumpkin and cut them into smaller sections so they can cover up the rest of the orange. Here's where we're at so far. I've covered all the pumpkin with the yarn, and I've made it so the bottom is more flat so the pumpkin can sit like that. If you wanted to make sure none of the orange showed through, then you could paint the pumpkin beforehand, or you could just make sure to push the braids as close together as possible. It's not looking perfect, especially when I started cutting the braids and trying to glue them in place, but I'm hoping that with a stem and some leaves we can cover it up and it'll look good. I've got 6 craft sticks here, and I'm going to break each of them into 2 smaller pieces so I can use them for a stem for my pumpkin. Here are my 12 pieces, and now I'm going to glue them together. Okay, I have my stem. Now to attach it onto the pumpkin. It's looking a little crazy right now with these popsicle sticks like that. But I have these leaves I got at the dollar store, and we're gonna strategically place it on here to cover up most of the flaws. DIY today, I'll be taking these styrofoam pumpkins from Dollar Tree again, but this time I'll be using 2, and I'll be stacking them on top of each other, painting them, and then turning them into a vase to hold these fall flowers. The first thing I'm going to do is take these little stems off the pumpkins. They just pull right off like that. The stems actually come on these little picks, so I'm going to take it off and stick both of them into one pumpkin, and then stick the other pumpkin on top. I have this foam paintbrush here, and I'm going to dip it in the paint and cover both the pumpkins. This probably would have been a lot easier and faster to spray paint instead of doing this, so I'd probably recommend that over painting with a brush. I also realized this would be a lot easier to do if the pumpkins weren't attached, which is why I'm taking them apart to paint. I also realized I should probably have something down on the table so I don't get paint all over my kitchen island, which is why I now have a cardboard box down underneath. I let the first coat dry, and now I'm moving on to the second coat. I ended up doing 4 coats to cover the pumpkins. I now need to cut a hole in the top of one of the pumpkins because that is going to be where I will put the flowers. You could just cut the one hole and stick some flowers in through here, but the bouquet that I have is this one here, and it has quite a long stem. This part of the stem is very difficult to cut with the wire cutters that I have, and I want to keep them as a bundle, all like this, instead of taking them all off one by one. So what I'm going to do is also cut a small hole on the bottom of this pumpkin, and then another hole on the top. There we go. And now for this one. I'm going to be using my hot glue gun to attach the two pumpkins together. So this will be the base. There's no hole on the bottom. And I'll put some hot glue around the edges. Okay, we have to make sure they're lined up how I want them to be here. Probably like this. Yeah, then the seams are lined up there. Okay, I'm gonna let this set for a while just to make sure it's as stuck as it can be. That was pretty quick actually. Only took about a minute maybe, and it's stuck on there, so that's good. Now we've got these flowers to stick inside. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed these 3 dollar store pumpkin DIYs. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite and if you're planning to make any of them. I'd love it if you'd subscribe and follow me on social media so we can stay connected, and I'll see you next time.